Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick video just basically explaining like the basics of breastfeeding. If you're a new mom and you're having issues with latching or your supply or anything like that, I'm just going to go over that kind of stuff, give you some pointers, and tell you how breastfeeding went for me and how it's still going for me almost 10 months later. So I knew from the very beginning, and even before I got pregnant, that I wanted to breastfeed to at least a year old. I might go past that, so you never know. So when my son was born, right as soon as my C-section was over and I was in the recovery room, they had him on, and trying to get him to latch and everything like that. I had to use a nipple shield because I had inverted nipples, where I don't, if you don't know what that is or anything like that, or what a nipple shield is, it's a plastic, I guess it's plastic, it's some kind of plastic, real flexible, and I guess I should have it, shouldn't I? Do I have one? I don't think I have one right now that's accessible to get to. But if you go to Babies R Us, you can look in the breastfeeding section, and there's a couple. My brand that they gave me was Medela, and it looks like a very large nipple with a base, and it's got a cutout part for where it's on your nipple for the baby to be able to breathe. But what you do is you like push it in to where the nipple part goes down, and then you put that on your nipple and you push, and it brings your nipple out. So the baby can get to your nipple, or not to your nipple, but is able to breastfeed. We tried without the nipple shield a couple times, and he couldn't get a very good latch. So I just kept using the nipple shield. I used that up until, I'd say, probably 4 months, just because it was easy for me, because I was having issues with him, latching, because it was even my first baby. I didn't know how to get him to latch and the correct way to get him to latch, because if they're not latched on the correct way, it will hurt, and you will get like little, not sores, but like it kind of feels like a callus on your nipple from where they're trying to latch on, but they cannot get a good latch. And so they're just sucking in one spot that it rubs it basically raw. So with the nipple shield, I never had that issue. So it was kind of like my little, safe zone for me, because I was worried, and scared of, any kind of pain with breastfeeding. But yeah, I used that up until 4 months, and then I stopped. And now I have no issues with inverted nipples at all. So if you do have inverted nipples, just whenever you deliver and everything like that, and you can't get the baby to latch correctly or for a very long time, they might automatically just offer you a nipple shield, or you could ask them for a nipple shield to help if you are planning on breastfeeding. I love breastfeeding. I think it's an amazing bonding experience. Just being able to provide food from your own body to your baby is an amazing thing. It makes your bond much stronger than when in my opinion, which I guess I have no other, I can't compare it to formula feeding, because I didn't do that. But I think it makes the bond stronger between the mother and the baby when you breastfeed. There's also so many health benefits to breastfeeding, not only to the baby, but to you also. The baby gets, I got a stomach virus, let's see, when he was about, let's see, when he was about 4.5 months old. My husband and I got a stomach virus, and I was so worried that I was going to give it to him. But what the pediatrician had told me and a lactation consultant told me, that my body, before it even knew, or right when it knew I was going to be getting sick, it started producing antibodies to give to my son, so he would build up, strong tolerance to it, and he wouldn't get the stomach virus. And he never did. He never got the stomach virus that we had, which I was grateful for because that was terrible. So, I mean, when you are getting sick and everything like that, your body knows, and it will build up the antibodies that your baby needs in order for it to protect, your baby, so he or she does not get whatever virus you have, or, anything like that. So that's one thing, is that it helps your baby with preventing, them getting sick. It has all of the right stuff in it that your baby needs. I mean, it has all the vitamins and nutrients, everything. It knows, your body knows what to produce for your baby. Like I said, I absolutely love breastfeeding. I'm going to continue to breastfeed until either, my supply dries up, or, he starts to wean himself. So if that's at a year, or if that's a little past a year, then we'll see. I mean, yeah, I didn't have many issues. I did go see a lactation consultant a couple times when I stopped using the nipple shield, because I couldn't get, when you go to a lactation consultant, if you do, they will show you like the best way. You're supposed to, like if you take your boob and you squeeze it, she says you make a boob pancake, which is a good way to explain it. You make a boob pancake, you squish it, and then the baby's mouth just goes directly onto your nipple, and it gets a bigger bite, which, I mean, they're not biting, but they get a bigger bite of your nipple, so they're getting the whole thing in their mouth, opposed to just the tip, which that is extremely painful. Don't let the baby get just the tip of your nipple, because you will be in pain, and then you will have, raw spots and calluses, or whatever you want to call it, on your nipple, and that is not extremely comfortable. And I think would deter people from continuing to breastfeed. It's a lot of trial and error with breastfeeding. You got to figure out what is most comfortable for you, how your baby likes to eat. When I first started breastfeeding in the hospital, I was doing the football hold, where I would have him, laying this way up against my body, where his head was just directly right here at the boob. And I kind of tried to do that after I got out of the hospital, but it seemed like he liked just to lay, directly in front of me, where his head was here and his body was over here, and that's how he still feeds, and that works best for both of us. Another thing is, I can't stress this enough, do not get frustrated with breastfeeding. I know I did a couple times. I never wanted to quit. I would just get frustrated because I couldn't get him to latch right, or I didn't feel like I was producing enough, even though I was, because he was satisfied. And I mean, right away, when you start breastfeeding, they only need like the tiniest amount. I mean, it's insane how small of an amount they need in order to feel full. And once their stomach grows, because I think it's like by the first day, I think their stomach is the size of a marble, and then I think what is it? The second day or the third day, it grows to it's bigger, and then it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So where they can feed for a longer period of time. When we got home, his breastfeeding sessions would be 30 minutes or more, on, on each side. And I gotta say this, breastfeed on each side, because that will help your supply dramatically. If you only breastfeed on one side and then you stop, you're going to either end up with mastitis. I think that's what it's called, which I never had. I never had to deal with that. Or you're going to have your milk supply diminish on one side, and it's just going to be uneven. So I can't stress this enough. Another thing, breastfeed on each side. Do equal times if you can on each side, so your body knows to keep producing milk, at the rate that your baby and you need. So like I was saying, when he first started breastfeeding, he was breastfeeding for 30 minutes or more combined on both sides. And he used to fall asleep every time, because he was a newborn, so he'd fall asleep breastfeeding, but then when he was asleep, he would just be, using me as a pacifier, which I didn't care. I mean, that didn't bother me because I was sitting in bed resting and watching TV. So, it was bonding. It was him and me, and everything like that. So, a lot of people say don't let them use you as a pacifier, but he's my first. It doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, then don't do it. But it did not bother me, so I continued to let him do that. Now, though, God, he is done breastfeeding in... The phone's ringing and I don't know what she's saying. Where was I going with this? Oh, now his breastfeeding sessions take maybe 5 minutes total. Once they can, they're breastfeeding this for this long, they get so efficient. I hate having an answering machine. We don't even use the thing. They get so efficient with their feedings that, he was at 30 or so minutes plus. Now he's down to 5 minutes. So, I mean, they get what they need out of you extremely fast. And I mean, when he was born, I keep jumping back and forth, but I keep remembering things. When he was born, he was feeding, right when he was born, he was feeding every hour to 2 hours, I would say. And he was the type of eater where he was like dead on too. If you went over, he would scream, and he would let you know, hey, I'm hungry, you need to feed me. And then I made it to where he was every 3 hours. And I'd say probably since 3 months, probably around 3 months, during the day, from 3 months until 6 months, 3 months to 6 months during the day, he was feeding every 3 hours. And overnight was most of the time twice a night he was feeding. And those times would vary. But now he's still feeding every 3 hours. He gets up at 7 in the morning. He feeds from 7 every 3 hours until 7 at night. And then once he's in bed, he just, whenever he wakes up to breastfeed is when he wakes up. Last night he woke up at 3:30 and then slept until 7. So, I mean, during the day it's every 3 hours, but at night it's once, but it'll vary to whenever he wants to wake up and feed. He gets solids though, along with the breastfeeding now. He's been getting solids since 6 months. Another thing I need to stress to you, if your pediatrician is telling you to not give solids before 6 months of age, please listen to them. That is a very important thing, because they're saying now that if you give solids before 6 months of age, that it is causing an increase in childhood obesity. Plus, they don't need any solids before 6 months. They don't need that. They're getting all of what they need from you, and that's all they need. That is every single little ounce of breast milk they get from you. That's all they need until 6 months, and then you can introduce solids all you want. That's exactly what we did. We were a little over 6 months. I think we were like close to a week over 6 months before we gave him solids, and that was only once a day, and we started with vegetables. And I know people give solids before they start at 4 months because, you know, that's what some websites and I guess some pediatricians say is okay to do, but I would wait until 6 months because they don't need it. They don't need anything else but the breast milk. That is the most important thing for them to get up until a year of age. I am a huge lover of breastfeeding. I've said that multiple times already in this video. I think it's the best thing. My hair's driving me absolutely crazy right there. I think it's the best thing for the baby. It's good for you. It reduces your chance of breast cancer. I believe ovarian cancer. It helps you lose weight, which it has. 2 months postpartum, I was already back to my pre-pregnancy weight, and I'm still, you know, losing weight. It's not as fast as I'd like it to, but I am losing weight, and I know it's from all the breastfeeding that's going on because you're burning those, you know, that many extra calories from breastfeeding. So I mean, there's so many benefits to you. There's so many benefits to your baby. I say give it a try, but do not get discouraged if it doesn't go your way right from the very beginning. You've got to give it a little while. And I know it is stressful and everything like that when you first have a brand new baby and you're trying to learn everything about them and all their schedules and everything like that, and trying to learn how to breastfeed and how everything works that way. But I mean, you've got to at least give it a try and just don't get upset or discouraged or stressed out or anything like that, because believe me, it is all worth it in the end. I don't know if there's anything else I could say about breastfeeding besides that it's awesome. It's a good bonding experience. It's good for you. It's good for the baby. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, just give it a chance. Try it out. Give it at least, I'd say, 2 months. Once you get past, you know, the first month being at home, because that's stressful. And you know, just feed them on demand. Just feed them when they want. When they're crying, just feed them, because that soothes them, that calms them. Everything. When they're just extremely upset and screaming, your body, your milk, has something in it. I don't know what it's called, but it has something in it that calms them. That's why when they're screaming and you put them on boob to feed them, they're calm because they know, you know, they're getting what they wanted. They just want to eat. Check their diaper. If they're not wet or dirty, you know, if they're not cold or too hot, then if they're not in pain, any kind of, you know, check all 3 of those. And then if they're still crying, then just put them on the boob. It's not going to hurt them. Just put them on the boob, let them, you know, eat until they're done. Another thing, let me throw this in. I didn't want to start using a passy for my son. I didn't want him to get hooked on one, anything like that. But he was, we think he had a little bit of colic in the beginning, so he would cry, not a terrible amount, but he would cry a decent amount. So we finally caved and got him a passy and everything like that, and that helped. And I know I've read, and I've probably been told this, you're not supposed to give a pacifier while you're breastfeeding for the, I can't remember, is it the first? In the very beginning, they say you're not supposed to do that because it gives them nipple confusion. He did not have nipple confusion. at all. But that was just me. If you're already having trouble breastfeeding and you haven't introduced a passy, then don't give them a passy. Only, let them get used to nursing first. You could always stick a finger in their mouth. I know people have done like their pinky. You can just stick your pinky in their mouth, and that helps them. And plus, they're not going to get confused. Just try other things like that before you try passy if you're worried about nipple confusion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it's a little bit helpful if you're a new mom and you're struggling with breastfeeding. Just please be patient with breastfeeding, because it is the best thing for you and your baby, mainly your baby. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and new moms, hang in there, and believe me, it will get easier. Like I said, I am almost 10 months postpartum and I am still breastfeeding my son. So it does get easier, I promise you. Just hang in there, be positive, make sure you have tons of support around you. Go see a lactation consultant if you need one. I know my hospital offered it for free. So just hang in there, be positive, stay strong, and just know it's the best thing. So please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I hope this video was informative, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye!